The state, what was offered to the Palestinians was contiguous territory with their own roads, their own self-defense forces. So the idea that somehow that the situation that exists now is what was offered to the Palestinians.
What about the Israelis? I want to say one thing. What about the Israelis that live in Israel? I mean, the Palestinians that live in Israel, they've been taken care of. They have the same rights as all the people that live in Israel.
Except they don't have to fight. They don't have to fight.
That's incorrect.
Except for the Druze.
Well, wait a minute now.
I'm talking about people, the people that have lived with the Israelis
No.
all their life
I was corresponding
in
with
Tel Aviv.
I have some pen pals with the Jerusalem Post that from time to time I have chatted with in the past, and it's not true that the Arabs that live within Israel have the same rights. When they try to get a building permit or build an apartment place in a certain place, ethnicity is like the city of Chicago. Are you Murphy? Are you Irish? You do well. If you're not, you don't do so well.
Well, I know, because my son went
so things are not equal.
My son and daughter went to the University of Tel Aviv and Hebrew University. They went for a year, and their classes were mixed. Their classes were mixed with Palestinians, with Arabs from all over. So they did have a mixed class. I do remember that.
The point that John makes, Israel is not perfect. And I don't think anyone here is claiming Israel is perfect. Israel has issues with minorities like any other country in the world does. The question is, why is perfection viewed as the standard for which there's sort of open attack, open assault on Israel, when so much worse exists in the rest of the world that gets a pass?
I think that some of it might actually be Israel's fault in its founding, because Israel has held itself up as a beacon to all nations. So when you set your standard at to that level, you're held to a different standard. So in some ways, Israel's done that to themselves.
I think when you look at the technology from Israel, I think it is a beacon. The Intel chips that come out of it.
I'm not saying it's not, but as Richard's saying, it's not a perfect society. Sure. It's not utopia.
But we're not.
They're human beings. They're just like everybody else, the same prejudice.
I want to get to the United States, and I want to find out, while we're talking about Israel and we're on this topic, and I think it's still very important, is why are university professors here so much? The university professors that are teaching our children and our grandchildren, they're so anti-Israel and pro-Palestinians. And remember, we are talking about the universities in the United States of America. I'd like to talk about this. We have a few minutes left, and I think this is important for our listeners.
I'll give you a quick answer.
Okay.
I mean, I think the hostility to Israel you find in the universities, particularly in the humanities faculties, relates to the fact that a lot of those humanities faculties are basically anti-American. They're anti-capitalist, They're anti-Western. So the fact that the United States, which is really the bad guy, supports Israel makes Israel a bad guy too, which is why you see essentially a consonance of values. Israel shares Western values, shares values with the United States. That makes them, in a sense, a guilty party.
They're hiring people that don't like the United States? I don't get it.
I think, one, there's no loyalty oath. We got rid of that with McCarthyism. Secondly, I think the influence of the faculty is overstated. I remember taking a course in American radicalism in college, and to get good grades, there were these people who came from Catholic schools who weren't anything but radicals, who were practically telling the professor they were for burning everything. I wrote a paper which pretty much criticized the IWW, the International Workers of the World, and he gave me an A. He said, I thought your paper was a B, but you're the only one in the class who was honest with me.
Right.
I'd be a little bit cautious here. I wouldn't generalize, because, a lot of the stories that we read about most often when you read about this issue are the worst. Anti-American, kind of anti-Semitic, hostile. Sometimes students even overreact. Maybe the professor says something offensive.
No, we have a professor at Northwestern University that's teaching the Holocaust in
No, let me tell you something about it. I went to Northwestern. His entire department said that they want him to leave.
Why didn't they leave him?
Because that's what he wants. He wants to be in court. I support the university on that. They have a horrible situation with that. The president condemned him. The president of Northwestern.
Well, if they condemn him, why is he still teaching?
He is an extraordinarily extreme
tenure.
example.
Who cares about tenure?
Well, it would be a major, major
Yeah.
lawsuit bankrolled by the Nazis. They don't want to give him that platform. He teaches electrical engineering. The minute he teaches something else, they will fire him, and they will face
The
him.
more problematic is that the most popular history textbook in American colleges now is the one by Howard Zinn, A People's History of the United States, which is basically a far-left, anti-American book, and that's being mainstreamed in American society. That's a problem.
Yeah. It is. It's a communist.
It is a communist manifesto.
What sustains it? Because I know you grew up. You're Christian. I know you have a Jewish wife, so I know you're fair and square. You represent both sides of the picture.
Well, I'm a cultural Catholic. I'm really a skeptic.
Okay.
Really, Well,
good. But what sustains anti-Semitism? Why are people still carrying on with anti-Semitism? What is it doing for them?
I don't know. I don't honestly.
I mean, as you were a kid, you were growing up, and you
Well,
must have had some ideas about Jewish people.
Well, no. There was only one Jewish family that lived in our town, and my brother dated her. She was the prettiest girl.
The Cartlins, huh?
And you really didn't. When I met Jewish people in the Army, when I went to officer candidate school, and we had several Jewish men in our platoon, and I saw, to me, they were the same as anybody. We saw no discrimination. Nobody reacted one way or another.
Mm-hmm. But what sustains it? Why is it still around?
I don't think it's a big issue in the United States for the most part.
Well, this country's been wonderful for
the
you don't
past,
think
basically.
it's not
But the
still
problem
around?
is, I think that the European anti-Israel issue is partly motivated by
I think
anti-Semitism, and then people.
IPAC causes a problem because they're such a forceful and powerful lobbying organization with the United States. There's another.
Well, AIPAC has very few lobbyists compared to the other lobbying organizations that are often cited as effective. So the question is, how are they so effective? I think it's the strength of their issues. I think it's because they get the information, they bring the congressmen to Israel to see it themselves, but they don't have a lot of lobbyists there. I mean, they're very small.
Americans are pro-Israel. That's the main reason that the lobbyists are successful. Americans are pro-Israel. I mean, Americans they look at Israel, and they see what Israel's achieved in 60 years. They see a technology giant, second largest number of NASDAQ companies.
Well, I think Israel also shares the same values.
Shares the same values.
As Americans, a Judeo-Christian.
AIPAC's a little bit of victim of their own publicity, because they are effective, but they make it seem like they're totally responsible, and they're not totally. There's a lot of sympathy.
But Americans see people blowing up buses, and they're shooting at kids in schools, and point blank shooting at children in cribs, and they don't relate to this.
I mean, Hezbollah is demanding that a guy who smashed the brains of a baby
that when they shoot off the
because they say he's a hero.
The Katyusha bombs, when they do it, when the kids are getting to school in the morning and when they're coming home from school in the afternoon, that's when the bombs go off, because they want to hit the children.
Hezbollah's hero that they're demanding that Israel release, that they say is a hero, smashed the brains of a little girl.
But I wonder why the rest of the world in Europe doesn't see that when they're shooting off these Katyusha. How would you like to be in?
And the French police who rounded up Jews and sent them to concentration camps didn't see it either. But if you read some European writings, they say, well, there must have been a reason why so many people killed Jews, or that the Israelis are neo-Nazis. So there is something pathological.
So they're seeing Israel.
Europe's a different cultural climate than the United States.
Well, there's more Islamic and more.
There's more Islamic, but
the Muslims are discriminated too in Europe.
But Jews in Europe are a traditional scapegoat. They're not a traditional scapegoat in the United States. And that's the difference.
Maybe they're seeing the Jews as overdogs. There was underdogs. We used to be the underdogs.
Well, that changed in '67.
I see that our credits are rolling, guys, and I want to invite you back because there's so much more that we haven't touched today. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank Richard Baer, Michael Zanto, John Cartlin, and Jeff Cohan for a wonderful discussion. And you guys are so verbal. I'm glad I was able to talk today. Normally I can talk. And I'd like to invite all of you back for another Commons Current Event Roundtable. Again, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
And Richard, Michael, and Jeff.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're all be able to come today. And thank you for coming today.
Thank you. See you in D.C.